Before he became the man who ended slavery, he was a poor boy reading by candlelight. Born in a log cabin and buried a legend, this is the story of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. Born on February 12, 1809, in a one-room log cabin in Hardin County, Kentucky, Lincoln entered the world with nothing but his name. His father, Thomas Lincoln, was a carpenter and farmer, honest and hard-working, but never wealthy. Nancy Hanks Lincoln, Abraham's mother, was kind and deeply religious. Her influence would shape his moral compass. Life on the frontier was harsh. At just 9 years old, Lincoln lost his mother to milk sickness, an experience that left an emotional scar. Soon after, his father remarried. Sarah Bush Johnston, his stepmother, treated young Abraham as her own. Lincoln had little formal education, less than a year in total, but he devoured every book he could find. From the Bible to Shakespeare, he educated himself through sheer hunger for knowledge. In 1830, his family moved to Illinois. A year later, Lincoln struck out on his own. He worked odd jobs, store clerk, postmaster, surveyor, and built a reputation for honesty and storytelling. Locals began calling him Honest Abe, admiring his fairness and charm. But Lincoln wasn't just honest, he was brilliant. In 1834, he entered politics as a Whig and was elected to the Illinois state legislature. At the same time, he studied law at night, borrowing books and teaching himself legal principles. In 1836, he passed the bar and became a practicing lawyer, gaining respect for his logic and wit. In 1842, he married Mary Todd, a well-educated woman from a wealthy Kentucky family. The couple had 4 sons, but only one, Robert, would survive into adulthood. In 1846, Lincoln was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. He opposed the Mexican-American War and stood firm on anti-slavery principles. In the 1850s, America was tearing at the seams, split by debates over slavery, state rights, and economic direction. Lincoln, back in Illinois, watched the turmoil from afar, but soon he could stay silent no longer. He joined the newly formed Republican Party, whose central mission was to stop the expansion of slavery. In 1858, he ran for the U.S. Senate. His opponent, the powerful Stephen A. Douglas, known as the Little Giant. Lincoln spoke with moral conviction, declaring, "A house divided against itself cannot stand." Then came the pivotal year, 1860. The nation was on the brink. The Republican Party needed a candidate who could unify the North. On November 6, 1860, Abraham Lincoln was elected the 16th President of the United States. But celebration was short-lived. Just weeks later, South Carolina seceded from the Union. Just 1 month into his presidency, Confederate forces fired on Fort Sumter. The Civil War had begun. And with that, Abraham Lincoln's greatest trial began, not just to preserve a nation, but to transform its very soul. The thunder of cannons at Fort Sumter in April 1861 shattered the Union and set Abraham Lincoln on the hardest path any president had ever faced. He called for 75,000 volunteers to defend the Union. The North responded with flags, drums, and conviction. But the South saw this as an act of war. One by one, more states seceded: Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Arkansas. In September 1862, after the bloody Battle of Antietam, Lincoln saw his moment. It was a bold gamble. The war now had a new purpose, not just unity, but liberty. But the war was not over. Casualties mounted, cities burned, and Lincoln braced for a tough re-election in 1864. In early 1864, the Union tide began to turn. Victories in Chattanooga and Vicksburg gave the North new hope. On April 9, 1865, General Robert E. Lee surrendered at Appomattox. After 4 years, the Civil War was over. The nation celebrated. Lincoln rode through Washington, greeted by joyous crowds. He had saved the Union. On April 14, 1865, just days after victory, Lincoln attended a play at Ford's Theater. At 10:15 p.m., John Wilkes Booth crept behind the curtain and fired a single bullet into the back of Lincoln's head. At 7:22 a.m., April 15th, Abraham Lincoln died. Secretary Stanton whispered, "Now he belongs to the ages." The nation wept. Millions mourned the man who had held America together through its darkest hour. Abraham Lincoln left no great wealth, only his words, his example, and a nation reborn in freedom. He ended slavery, he preserved the Union, and he proved that one honest man of humble beginnings could change the course of history.